There's a chance that Chris Hemsworth and Elsa Pataky got married just to make the rest of us normals feel bad.
But there's more to that story. We'll give you all the details as to how the God of Thunder and Spain's sexiest model keep that spark.
And just wait till you see his hammer. I mean, this is hooked up to Hitched. This love story begins probably in the most boring way you could imagine. Hemsworth and Pataky were introduced back in 2010 by a talent agent that they both knew. That's it. No fancy meet cute or anything.
And while you may feel robbed of something more romantic, don't worry, it gets interesting. Just 3 months after they met, the couple was saying "I do" on a beach in Indonesia.
And it did happen quick, and it just felt right, you know, it just made sense, and there was no great plan to sort of any of it, to be honest. We were on a holiday and then said, why don't we get married too? And then next minute, yeah.
Hey, when you know, you know.
That's true, but I do have to say, just one beach vacation with Chris Hemsworth, and I think I'd know too. While the wedding may have been abrupt, Hemsworth and Pataky showed the world it wasn't just a fling. 2 years later, the couple had their first child, a daughter named Indy.
A nod to Indonesia, perhaps?
2 years after that, they welcomed twin boys into the world, Tristan and Sasha, becoming a family of 5 in less than 4 years.
If that seems too much like a fairy tale, get this. When Elsa was 15 years old, she just happened to get a cross tattoo inspired by who else but Norse god Thor. That's almost spooky.
Note to self, get that Chris Evans tramp stamp tattoo. While the couple's family life was booming, so was Chris's career. Locking down starring roles in blockbusters like The Avengers and Snow White, Hemsworth's life started to exist exclusively on a film set.
In turn, Elsa was forced to take a step back from her own successful career as an actress and a model to fill the role of full-time mom, which she admits took a toll on her relationship with Chris.
In an interview with Australian Vogue, the Spanish starlet admitted that she wasn't sure how her marriage survived at times. Quote, "It's difficult when you go from being an unknown person to a very known person. We were married and then a year after we had kids. It puts a lot of pressure on a marriage."
The trouble with being married to one of the sexiest men alive, in fact, People magazine's Sexiest Man Alive 2014, is that people are constantly talking about how sexy your husband is.
Oh, I know, so brutal. In interviews, Hemsworth has revealed that when his rippling bod is on display in movies, his wife wishes he just put a shirt on. Hey Elsa, will you just share a peek with the rest of us, huh?
It's funny, I think I remember Hugh Jackman's wife saying the exact same thing, that his superhero body and eating like 4 grilled chickens a day was just too much.
I'm sure they have no complaints when they're at home, though.
Chris loves to do that. He looks at himself in the mirror and is like, yeah, look at this. He shows me all his muscles. I'm like, yeah, pretty good.
Struggles abound, the couple has still managed to make it work and stay in love. In 2015, Hemsworth moved his young family back to his native Australia for a more traditional upbringing than they'd get in Hollywood.
He also started to put down the hammer from time to time, not only to help raise the kids, but to let his wife explore her own career.
In 2018, the couple even starred together in the movie 12 Strong, aka Horse Soldiers, playing a husband and wife.
I think we make each other better. You know, we criticize in the way you can be honest, and we don't get angry or anything.
In December 2020, the couple celebrated 10 years of hard-fought marriage, more in love than ever.
Okay, Eileen, let's break it down. Why do you think Chris and Elsa work?
I love this couple so much. Not only do they look like a Disney couple, they're so beautiful to look at. There's so many reasons why I think they're in it for the long run and they're really gonna make it work, Brian. They just have so many similar interests. They both love to work out. I mean, clearly, look at their bodies. But, you know, Chris is just all about his fitness, and Elsa has a book out called Strong. So that's great that they both make that a priority for themselves.
I totally agree. You know, the 10-year mark can be dangerous for a couple, you know. So I think it's really smart that they moved out of Hollywood, get the out of Hollywood, and they got back to their roots, or at least back to Chris's roots in Australia. A lot of people don't realize this, but he sort of has the Mel Gibson thing where he was like plucked out of obscurity in Australia. His family, he and his brother, and there's a third brother, but we don't talk about him. They're from like nowhere. They just happened to be so handsome that they were put on soap operas in Australia, and then eventually were discovered and now are they're gigantic stars. So I think it's good for the relationship to go back to Australia, have more of an outdoorsy family life with fewer of those Hollywood distractions, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I mean, I think it's so great that even though they came from obscurity, so to speak, that Hollywood never really got to them and they remained pretty humble and the same.
There's all these phrases like settling down and getting too comfortable, but you do have to settle into a marriage. And 10 years in, they have a bunch of kids, they have a happy life, and that's going to make them last a lot longer than the hot and heavy, year and a half, first, the honeymoon phase or whatever.
Oh my gosh, but I have a feeling, Brian, that those two are still in the honeymoon phase. I mean, how could you not be?
So which couple do you want to see go from hooked up to hitched next? Let us know. Until then, bye Eileen.
Bye, Brian, or should I say, good day, mate?
You definitely should. Throw a shrimp on the barbie.